Imagine the scene, a family lunch in the farm, sunny sun, laughing in the air, that irresistible smell of baking barbecue. It was supposed to be a perfect day, a moment of union between two families. But, like a storm that arises out of nowhere, everything collapsed in a matter of minutes because of a cruel phrase and a gesture of contempt. This was how Anna imagined that Sunday. Her husband, Vitali, had suggested inviting her parents to celebrate the start of the season in the farm. The idea seemed charming, a day of relaxation, good food, lively conversations. Who could predict that this encounter would become a tide field of tensions? The problem is that Anna's mother-in-law, Larissa Germanovna, decided to appear without warning and didn't come alone. He brought herself with her 35-year-old daughter Karina, who, despite her age, still lived as a spoiled teenager under her mother's wings, convinced that the world owed her favors. Anna and Vitali had been married for 5 years, and all this time had been a silent battle. Larissa never hid that she found Anna inferior to her son. For her, the daughter-in-law was just a poor family, as she liked to repeat in the most tensioning moments. On the other side was Sergei Dmitrievich, Anna's father, a simple man with a huge heart who spent his life as an engineer in a factory and, with his own hands, built the farm where everyone now gathered. In addition to being a make-up, he had a special gift for the barbecue, a family secret that kept fondly. As soon as they arrived, he took command of the grill, with Vitali beside him, while Anna and her mother, Galina Mikhailovna, prepared salads and snacks on the porch. But the mood of harmony was short-lived. In the late afternoon, a luxurious car entered the ground. From him descended Larissa, impeccable in a white tailor, a look more suitable for a cocktail than for a day in the field, followed by Karina, who staggered in high jumps on the grass. "Vitalinho!" exclaimed Larissa, opening her arms in a theatrical gesture. "We decided to make a surprise." Vitali, visibly embarrassed, hugged his mother and sister. "Mom, you have not warned. Today Anna's parents are here," he murmured. "So what?" she said, with a smile of superiority. "This is your farm, isn't it? Or I can't visit my own son." Technically, she was right. The property was in the name of Vitali, inherited from her maternal grandfather. But Anna and her husband had invested time, money, and a lot of effort to reform her. Still, Larissa acted as if she was the owner of the place. And things got worse. After greeting Anna's parents with cold nod, she began to give orders as if she were in her own kingdom. He criticized the dishes prepared by Galina, calling them garden food, and took the delicacies imported from an expensive store. Anna bit her tongue, but inside. Vitali, as always, pretended that nothing happened, smiling and trying to please everyone, a strategy that, instead of calming, only increased his wife's frustration. The trigger came when Sergei announced, proudly, "The barbecue is ready. Who wants to try?" He began to serve the succulent pieces, but when it comes to Larissa and Karina, the mother-in-law twisted her nose. "What is this meat? It's not a pig, I hope," he said, disgusted. "Yes, the best palate I selected," said Sergei, without understanding the reaction. "We don't eat pork," Larissa said, lying blatantly. "Karina has an allergy, and I'm on a diet." Anna knew very well that it was all invention. Karina devoured ribs in restaurants, and Larissa loved a good leg. "Don't worry, brought chicken," said the mother-in-law, taking a marinade meat container from her bag. "Vitali, dear, please grill it to us." He, as always, obeyed without blinking, taking the container and going to the barbecue. Anna felt her face burn with shame. Sergei, trying to alleviate the tension, took a speck. The best pieces and approached Karina. "Try it, girl. It's a special recipe, with nothing that hurts." But before he could offer, Larissa snatched the skewer of his hands with a sudden gesture. "Your poor devils have sausage. Real meat is just for our family," he spit, handing his skewer to his daughter. A cold silence took over the place. Galina paled. Anna was paralyzed, speechless. Vitali, stopped by the barbecue, smiled awkwardly, as if she didn't know what was going on. But Serge, however, straightened my back. His eyes shone with a determination that no one knew there. He stared at Larissa, then to Vitali, and finally to his daughter. And suddenly smiled a wide smile, almost ironic. Do you know something? He said, with a calm that scared everyone. I think it's time to go. Dad, no, Anna tried to interfere, but he interrupted her with a gesture. Sergei approached his wife and took his hand firmly. Galia, get our things. We'll leave it. But what about dinner? She stammered, confused. Now, he replied, with no margin for discussion. Then he turned to Vitaly. I have a question for you, son-in-law. Do you agree with what your mother has just said? Are we really poor people? Vitaly hesitated, looked at her mother, then to her wife, not knowing what to do. She didn't want to say that, she mumbled. No, she made it very clear, said Sergei. And, turning to Anna, he asked, Daughter, are you coming with us or stay? Those seconds were decisive. 5 years of humiliation, 5 years of a husband who never defended her. At that moment, Anna understood that her father wasn't just leaving, she was giving her a choice that would change everything. I go with you, father, he said firmly. He got up, approached Vitaly and looked into his eyes. Sorry, but I can't take it anymore. Call me when you're ready to talk to yourself. Ignoring Larissa's outraged protests, Sergei helped his wife and daughter add their things. Before leaving, he returned to the barbecue, removed the remaining skewers, wrapped them carefully and kept in the bag. This I take, he said, with a final tone. Enjoy your farm chicken. When they were already in the car, Vitaly ran to the porch. Anna, wait. You can't just go. I can, and I'm going, she answered, without looking back. You know, I always thought love won everything. But love also has limits, and your mother has just surpassed them. Sergei turned on the engine, and they departed, leaving Vitaly, stunned, halfway. Later, sitting at the parents' kitchen table, finally tasted the barbecue. Despite everything, it was delicious, perhaps the best Anna had ever eaten. The tears ran down, but not of sadness, but of relief. Thank you, father, whispered, while the taste of freedom for the first time was sweeter than any roasted meat. Embraced his father, Anna repeated, her still shaking voice of emotion, thank you for not silent. Thank you for getting me out of there. Sergei Dmitrievich stroked her hair, firm look like the tempered steel for years of non-negotiable convictions. You know, daughter, there are things that no man rich or poor has the right to tolerate. It's not about money or status. It's a human being. And who allows disrespect to settle in your home, has been no longer a long time. A week later, Anna's phone vibrated with the name of Vitaly on the screen. His voice sounded down, almost pleading, forgive me. I told my mother that I was willing to move from Dacha, buy a place just for both of us, that I couldn't take that situation anymore. Anna heard in silence, her fingers squeezing the device until her fingers were white. When he finished, she responded with calm that froze him. 5 years, Vitaly. 5 years you smiled as your mother humiliated me while trampling EU's parents as if we were trash under their designer shoes. It wasn't Dacha, it wasn't the money. It was you. It was his cowardice disguised as peace. Divorce was surprisingly fast. Larissa Germanovna didn't even appear to the audiences, perhaps had the confrontation with Sergei, or perhaps he knew that this time there was no audience to applaud his dramas. Vitaly did not discuss the division of goods. There was nothing to argue. A year later, on an autumn afternoon, Anna met Artyom. He was an architect, responsible for restoring a historic building in the city center, and carried in his eyes the same flame she had lost and rediscovered, the conviction that some battles are worthwhile. Artyom was kind, but not fragile, open but not naive. And above all, he could plant his feet on the ground when necessary, something Anna began to value more than any jewelry. When he arrived to meet his parents, Sergei Dmitrievich, of course, prepared his legendary barbecue. After lunch, while the two were alone on the porch, Artyom turned to him with a seriousness that made the old father's heart of pride. Your Sergei told me all about what happened to your former maid. I want you to know, while I breathe, nobody will treat your daughter or this family with less respect than they deserve. Sergei smiled, a rare, genuine smile, and squeezed the hand of the future son-in-law with a force that waved words. On a wedding day, held at a country restaurant bathed by golden lights, Sergei lifted her cup not to toast just to the love of the bride and groom, but to the true family. Not the one where some think they are superior to others, The voice echoed about the erected glasses, but where everyone is equal to respect, dignity, and happiness. When, a year later, Valentina was born named after Artyom's grandmother, Sergei spent the weekend in the new dacha of her daughter, always with a packet of barbecue wrap. Since I saw Anna holding her daughter in her arms, each time she heard her shadow-free laugh, he knew, that day in dacha, when he chose his daughter instead of silence, had been the best investment of his life. As for Vitaly, he kept living with his mother and sister. Anna sometimes saw him around the city, older, more curved, as if carrying the weight of all the words unwrit on the back. Once, he tried to approach. "I regret it. I still love you." She just shook her head, a smooth but final gesture. "You know, Vitaly, I owe your mother a thank you. For that barbecue. He taught me that some things have no price: self-love, loyalty, and my father's barbecue." 5 years after those events, Anna, Artyom, and Valentina bought a dacha next to their parents' ground. Now, every weekend, the family gathered under the same sky, between laughter and the smell of grilled flesh. And when Sergei prepared his famous barbecue, everyone knew, it wasn't just a meal. It was a reminder that sometimes what unites us is stronger than fire, and that the deepest scars can become the foundations of something indestructible. It is said that Larissa Germanovna still tells known as the daughter-in-law abandoned her son because of a bad bed barbecue. But no one else believes in their stories. Because real family is not measured by possessions or appearances, but the way one lifts each other. And Sergei Dmitrievich, with his calloused hands and the naughty smile as he turns the flesh on the grill, knows that better than anyone.